What's going on, everybody? Here we are, another week at the Home Theater Hobbyist, and this week we have our full review of these floor standers, the KLH Quincy's. So let's get to it. First of all, if you are new to the channel, welcome. On this channel, you'll find product reviews, comparisons, unboxing, talk about streaming media, and basically all things home theater. So click that subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll be notified anytime we upload new content. So here they are, the KLH Quincy's. The Quincy's are floor standing speakers, and they are the middle of the loudspeaker or floor standing loudspeaker lineup from KLH Audio. Just below them you have the Cambridge, and just above them you have the Kindle. And like I said, these are the middle of the pack, the Quincy's. And I think it's kind of a nice classy name, so that's really cool. I got these from Worldwide Stereo. They are a home theater retailer located in the Philadelphia area. So if you're in that area, go check them out. They have 2 physical retail locations. But if you're not in the area or you just don't want to get off the couch, use those links in the description below and you can find out all about the products that they sell. So let's move on and let's talk specifications. The Quincy has a frequency response from 28 Hz to 23,000 Hz and a sensitivity of 94 dB. It has an impedance of 8 ohms. It features one 6.5-inch Kevlar bass driver, one 5.25-inch Kevlar mid-bass driver, and one 1-inch anodized aluminum tweeter. It stands 37.5 inches tall by 7.75 of an inch wide by 14.75 of an inch deep, and it weighs 40 pounds. Moving on, let's talk about design. As I said before, these are floor standing speakers, so there is no need to buy speaker stands for these. I have this in the black oak veneer. They also sell a walnut veneer, and looking at the pictures online, I think I prefer the walnut, but the black oak looks really good. The main reason why I think they look very good is because this veneer has a nice bit of depth to the grain, so it looks really high quality. Even though it's just a veneer, it looks really high quality, and that grain actually wraps over the edges and it all lines up. So again, it looks good. Along the front, you've got your cloth grill right here with that KLH logo down here at the bottom. And this cloth grill is, let's say, 3/4 length. And so what that means is it only goes 3/4 of the way down. And then just below that, you have that wood veneer. And so I think it gives it a nice sense of texture and depth right along the front. And for most speakers, for me personally, I generally like to see the speakers behind it, not necessarily the grill. But in this case, I actually kind of like leaving the grill on because you have that difference right there at the bottom, and it's not too long or too short. Personal preference. To pull the grill off, all you do is just pull it. You've got magnets along each side and magnets along each side inside the cabinet that hold the grill on, and they are very strong magnets, so you don't have to worry about your grill falling off or anything like that. The grill is cloth with a plastic frame in the back, and it's very light and very easy to handle. Up top, you start off with the KLH logo there just above the tweeter, and it looks really good. And then you've got that 1-inch tweeter up there at the top, surrounded by this sort of anodized aluminum. Just below that, you've got your 5.25-inch mid-bass driver, surrounded by anodized aluminum, along with that Kevlar composite cone there. And just below that, you have your 6.5-inch woofer. Again, anodized aluminum with that Kevlar woofer material there. Surrounding that, you have the wood grain again, and it looks really, really nice. Along the rear, you have dual ports. They're just under 3 inches in diameter, and each speaker comes with a single port plug that you would put in here. KLH recommends that each speaker be at least 6 inches away from the wall. If you're closer than 6 inches, make sure you put that port plug in. Just under that, you have dual binding posts so you can biamp these speakers. And at the very bottom, you have the base on which this sits. Speaking of the base, if you turn the speaker on its side, you have 4 holes. Those are for the speaker spikes. The last thing I want to mention from a design standpoint is the KLH spike kit. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, carpet spikes are used to decouple your speaker from the floor, so you don't get cabinet resonances traveling from your cabinet through your floor. And they give you two different types of protection. They give you this rubber protection so you can screw it in along the bottom, and it will decouple it and protect your wood floors and marble floors and things like that. So that's really cool. But they also give you the traditional carpet spike that looks like that. And with this carpet spike, they give you these little discs. So for instance, if you don't want the spike you like the look, but you don't want it digging into your floor, you can stick it into the disc like that, and you can protect your floor. But one thing I want to mention with this carpet spike is it's also self-adjusting. You can basically raise and lower your speaker as you want. So you have this little disc here, this little washer on it, and you can basically screw in a speaker and you can adjust the height of your speaker. So for instance, if you want your speaker to sit a little bit higher in the front at a little bit of an angle compared to the rear, you can adjust this higher while the rears are all the way at the bottom, and that's really cool. Now the next thing I want to mention, and I just thought this was cool from a design standpoint, when I unboxed this, I looked at it, but I didn't really pay attention to what it was. You got your spike kit in here and you got your spikes and they look really nice. You got your wood floor protection and you also have your disc up here at the top. All looks really nice. On the other side of the box, hopefully you can see that, you've got some raised foam right here where these discs go. So when you put the package on, it keeps the disc in place. And that's just a nice attention to detail. And I have to commend KLH for having that much attention to detail, not only in their packaging, but also in their spikes. So let's talk setup. Setting these things up is pretty easy. Once you get them out of the box, you're going to put them in the place where you want them and use speaker wire to connect them to your AVR or your amplifier. You want to use 16 American wire gauge speaker wire or thicker, so 14 or 12. KLH recommends that you don't use anything thicker than a 12 American wire gauge speaker wire. Now to connect these, you can use bare speaker wire, you can use spades, or you can use banana plugs. To connect the banana plugs, you actually unscrew the little cap and pull that black or red piece of plastic out of the center, and then you can use the banana plugs. Since the Quincy's offer dual binding posts, you can biamp these speakers, which is great. Biamping means you can connect two amplifiers, one for the highs and one for the lows. Remember, black speaker wire with black terminal and red speaker wire with red terminal. Make sure you remove the connecting piece between the two terminals before you connect your speakers. Now let's listen to a couple of sound samples so you can hear how these sound. Hopefully you enjoyed those sound samples. Now I'm going to break this up in a few different categories, ranking them from 1 to 5, 1 being the absolute worst and 5 being the absolute best. The first category I'm going to rank is design. From a design standpoint, I give these a 4 out of 5. I really like the black oak veneer. I think I prefer walnut, but the grain depth that you get in this black oak, it just really makes these speakers stand out and they look really high quality. I also like the way the grill attaches magnetically, so it's easy to pull on and off. You don't have any holes in the corner. And I like the contrast with the anodized aluminum against the black here along the front. So I just think it looks really, really good. Going back to those spikes, I like it. I like the fact that you can raise and lower them as you please, and they also give you the little disc if you need that. So I think they really thought about everything with this. The next category I'm going to rank is sound quality, and I give these a 3.5 out of 5. They have a nice neutral sound with just a touch of warmth in that mid-range, which sounds really, really good. They also have decent bass. As I mentioned, they go down to about 27, 28 hertz. But with that bass, it's not as detailed as some other speakers I've heard, and you should probably use a subwoofer. Now, I did try these with the Windsor 10 subwoofer from KLH, and I noticed immediately how much more detail I get from that subwoofer as compared to the bass in these speakers alone. So when you set these up, make sure you set them up too small. Set your crossover around 80 hertz, even though these large speakers set them too small. Set your crossover to around 80 Hertz and let your subwoofer do the work. That will allow these speakers to shine in that mid and high range area where they sound the best, because it definitely sounds better when you're listening to music and movies, especially movies, with these and you have a dedicated subwoofer. The music sound quality is also very good. You get a nice stereo image when you're sitting in the sweet spot. I enjoyed the highs, the mids, and even the lows when listening to music. I would still suggest a dedicated subwoofer when listening to music, but the Quincy's do a good job in that department. Other than detailed bass, I do wish the Quincy's had a little bit more robust sound to them. I've heard some other Floorstanding speakers and I just thought they had a little bit more robust, a little bit more presence, a little bit more fullness than I heard from the Quincy's, but otherwise these are a great sounding pair of speakers. The next category I'm going to rank is value, and I give these a 4 out of 5. These speakers sound really good and they are not the most expensive Floorstanding speakers you've ever heard. They come in, I think, right around $500 a speaker, and that's not bad because many of you that are looking into Floorstanding speakers, you know you can go from, let's say, $350 for a pair of Floorstandings to $100,000 or more dollars for Floorstanding speakers. So these sound really good. These hit all the notes that you want to hear, especially in that mid and high range. And that low range, you know, add a dedicated subwoofer, but they sound really good, especially given the price. Overall, I recommend these speakers. They have a nice neutral sound with just a touch of warmth in the mids and the highs. Adding a dedicated subwoofer definitely helps in the lows and will help bring out those mids and highs even more. KLH has done a great job with the design. They've given you floor spikes, they've given you bi-amplification, and basically everything that you want in a speaker. So if you want to purchase these, use that link in the description below. But before we end, I do want to make mention of one thing. One of you in the comment section said you wanted to see a close-up picture of this Iron Man poster that I have back here. Well, here you go. Okay, so I just wanted to do that. I thought it was funny that someone asked for that. Just so you guys know, I'm not selling that poster or anything like that. It was a gift to me from my wife. She bought it from a store in Atlanta. I can't tell you what store it is because it was years ago. Sorry about that, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, comment, use those links in the description below as they help support the channel. We'll talk to you next time.